Just in tell your notes, watch this. More percent method practice. That's the title. I'm only going to go over 2 problems. But might as well take notes anyway, if you can see this on the quiz. Percent method of withholding. So this is a different method of figuring out federal income tax. The first method I taught you last week. That was, remember the table method? It looked like C31. Yeah, remember that? Remember you just look for where a person falls, if they're married or single? That's easy. Everyone got that, no problem. But this is a different method that's sometimes used by the federal government of how to figure out how much tax money to withhold from your paycheck. That's why we're going over this. It's called the percent method. So here we go. Let me get the example I wanted to get. Pause that. So go to write down this example. Use percent method. Percent method. So write that down. All right, so remember allowances, the government allows you allowances so you can keep more of your money because you have a family to provide for. You have grandma or grandpa that you have to take care of. They can't work anymore, they're living with you. You have a disabled relative that's living with you. So if you claim that on your tax sheet when you get hired, it's called an I-9, then the government will not take as much money from you. They call that allowances. And looking on this table here, it says each weekly allowance is $63.46. Okay? So what we got to first do is figure out the taxable wage. Where does Maggie Brown fall into this table? If she makes between $51 and $195, then she's not going to take, nothing's going to be taken out. Unless only 10% of whatever is over $51 will be taken out of her check. If she makes between over $195 but not over $645, then the tax, what they're going to withhold, look at what they're going to withhold, the amount of income tax to withhold is going to be $14.40 plus 15% of whatever is over $195. And if she makes more than this but less than this, it's going to be $81.90 plus 25% of whatever's over $645, whatever her amount goes over. So before we figure out where Maggie lies on this table, we got to figure out her taxable wage. Her taxable wage is not $455. It's going to be that minus the allowances. So $455, she claims 2 allowances, and each allowance is $63.46. So let's first find the taxable wage. I have to get her weekly pay and subtract how many allowances that she's claiming. Okay, watch this. $455 minus $63.46 times 2, because each allowance is $63.46. I'm going to multiply that by 2 because she's claiming 2. Let me see how much that is. 63.46 times 2, 126.92. So I'm going to subtract, watch this, 126.92 from 455. That's going to give me their taxable wage. The government's not going to tax her on that amount. It's going to tax her on a lower amount, so she doesn't have to pay as much. So I'm gonna put TW for taxable wage. $455 minus $126.92. $455 minus $126.92. I get $328.08. There's a taxable wage, $328.08. It's better to be taxed at a lower amount than a higher amount because they're going to take a bigger chunk if it's a higher amount. So the government's saying, okay, Maggie, you have 2 allowances. We're going to tax you at this amount, not this amount. We're going to take a chunk out of the smaller amount. This is a smaller amount, then take a chunk out of a bigger amount. So you don't have to pay more. How much of a chunk are we going to take out now? Well, that's where the table comes in. Okay, watch this. Where does Maggie, so we found the taxable wage. Now, where does she fall in this table? 328.08, she falls right here. So how much, what's a chunk that federal income tax can take? They're going to take like $14.40 plus 15% of whatever's over $195. So far, can you get that for me? Thank you. So far, the federal income tax is going to be $14.40. Watch this now. Plus, that's what it tells me, dude. Look, it says plus 15% of the overage. So I'm going to put 15% as a pure decimal. Remember we worked on that in week 1? 15% as a pure decimal would be 0.15, right? 0.15. I'm going to multiply that by the total overage. How much is she over 195? Well, let's see, 328.08. So I'm going to write, I'll put excess right here. Excess. I'm going to take how much she made, or her taxable wage, 328.08, and I'm going to subtract it by 195 to figure out how much over she is to 195. How much does she go over 195? And whatever that answer is, I'm going to take 15% of that. Like I see, that's why I'm going to multiply 15 times whatever I get right here. We know how to do percentages. We did that the whole first week. So 328.08 minus 195. 328.08. Ah! I need a punching bag. I need to sock somebody or something. Stop laughing at me. No, it's good. It's better work now. Okay. Minus 195. 133.08. That's her overage, her excess. We need to find 15% of that. That's why I'm going to put it right up there in blue here. Look at 133.08. So, 1440, that comes from the table. Remember, look at her. Maggie registered right here. So her tax is $14.40 plus 15% of whatever's over 195, and we just figured that out. The overage was 133.08. So we're ready to rock and roll. Questions so far before I do the last calculation? I trust.
Can I finish this real quick, please?
I'm recording it anyway, so don't need to worry about it. Let's go back and watch this stuff. There we go.
Wow. You really deleted that? I didn't a little bit live.
It's all on video, man. YouTube is listening to us right now.
Oh, just a little bit, look at my
Press
there's a fraction.
Don't worry, I got you. I'll put it back up right now. Let's do it here. Federal income tax is gonna be $14.40 plus, let's see, 0.15, 0.15 times 15% of 133.08.
1996.
Thank you. 6 pennies. Because to the right of the pennies is only a 2. So 1996. So what's the government going to keep from Maggie on her check? Let's add those puppies up. 1440 plus 1996. 3436 they're gonna keep. Uncle Sam's keeping, I just forgot what I saw. What was it? Stop laughing at me.
Or if we thought.
1440 minus or plus 1996. 3436. Done. Now that takes a lot longer than the table method that I taught you last week, obviously, but you need to know that method because I'm sorry to crack it to you, but this is the method typically used nowadays, right now. They first subtract your allowances. So they subtract your allowances from what you make. That's what we did right here in black. And then you figure out the taxable wage. And then you figure out where you fall in on this big table. So this is typically what's more used nowadays. So you need to know both methods, the table method and the percent method. I trust that was clear. I was gonna do 2 problems, I'm gonna do 1. I think 1's good enough. No, I'll play that video for you. By the way, since you're gone, the reason why I put this up here is because on C33,